It all started with a text message. I was in a hotel room, halfway across the country, when my phone buzzed. It was late, and I was exhausted from back-to-back meetings. The message was from my wife, Sarah. She said she missed me and hoped I was doing okay. I smiled, typed back that I missed her too, and told her I'd be home in 2 days. I didn't think much of it at the time. We'd been married for 7 years, and while things weren't perfect, I thought we were happy. At least, I thought I was happy. But something felt off. I can't explain it, but there was this nagging feeling in the back of my mind. Maybe it was the way she'd been acting before I left. She'd been distant, distracted. I chalked it up to stress. She'd been working long hours, and we'd been arguing more than usual. Still, I trusted her. I trusted us. So I pushed the feeling aside and went to bed. The next morning, I woke up to another message from Sarah. This one was different. It was short, almost cryptic. "We need to talk when you get back." My stomach dropped. I tried calling her, but she didn't pick up. I texted her, asking if everything was okay. But she just replied, "It can wait until you're home." I spent the rest of the day trying to focus on work, but my mind kept wandering back to that message. What could she possibly need to talk about? When I finally got home, Sarah was waiting for me. She looked tired, like she hadn't slept much. I hugged her, but she felt stiff in my arms. We sat down on the couch, and she took a deep breath. "I don't know how to say this," she began, her voice trembling, "but I need to be honest with you." My heart was pounding. I braced myself for the worst, but nothing could have prepared me for what she said next. "I slept with someone while you were away." The words hit me like a punch to the gut. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. All I could do was stare at her, waiting for her to tell me it was some kind of sick joke. But she didn't. She just sat there, tears streaming down her face, waiting for me to say something. "Who?" I finally managed to ask, my voice barely above a whisper. She hesitated, then said the name that would haunt me for months to come. It was Mark, my old classmate. Mark. I knew who he was. Sarah had mentioned him before. They'd been close in high school, but I never thought much of it. He was just someone from her past, or so I thought. Now, he was the man who had destroyed my marriage. I felt like the ground had been ripped out from under me. I didn't know what to say or do. Part of me wanted to scream at her, to demand answers, but another part of me just wanted to curl up and disappear. Instead, I stood up and walked out of the room. I needed space. I needed to think. But no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't make sense of what had just happened. How could she do this to me? To us, the next few days were a blur. I moved into the guest room, and we barely spoke. When we did, it was only about practical things. Bills, groceries, the dog. I couldn't bring myself to talk about what had happened. Every time I looked at her, all I could see was Mark. I kept imagining them together, and it made me sick to my stomach. But as much as I wanted to hate her, I couldn't. I still loved her, and that made everything so much harder. I kept replaying our relationship in my head, trying to figure out where things had gone wrong. Had I been too focused on work? Had I not been there for her enough? I didn't have any answers, just more questions. One night, I couldn't take it anymore. I went to her room and knocked on the door. She opened it, looking surprised to see me. "We need to talk," I said. She nodded and let me in. We sat down on the bed, and for the first time, since she'd told me the truth, we really talked. She told me everything. How Mark had reached out to her on social media a few months ago. How they'd started talking, first about old times, then about their lives now. She said it was innocent at first, just catching up. But then it turned into something more. They started meeting up for coffee, then drinks. She said she didn't plan for it to happen, but one night, it did. I listened in silence, my heart breaking with every word. When she finished, I asked the question that had been burning in my mind. Why? Why did you do it? She looked down at her hands, tears streaming down her face. "I don't know," she whispered. "I think I was lonely, and he made me feel wanted." Her words cut deeper than I expected. I had always tried to be a good husband, but maybe I hadn't been enough. Maybe I'd taken her for granted. But that didn't excuse what she'd done. Nothing could. We talked for hours that night, about everything. Our marriage, our mistakes, our future. By the end of it, we were both exhausted, but I felt like we'd finally started to clear the air. I didn't know if we could fix things, but I knew I wanted to try. She said she did too. But just when I thought we were making progress, something happened that changed everything. A few days after our talk, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer it, but something told me I should. When I did, a man's voice came on the line. "Is this John?" he asked. I said it was, and he introduced himself as Mark. My blood ran cold. What the hell did he want? He said he needed to talk to me, that it was important. I didn't want to see him, but I couldn't resist the urge to hear what he had to say. We agreed to meet at a coffee shop the next day. When I saw him, I felt a surge of anger. He looked exactly like I'd imagined, confident, smug, like he had everything I didn't. But as we sat down, I noticed something in his eyes. He looked nervous. "I know you probably hate me," he began, "and you have every right to. But I need to tell you something." I braced myself for the worst. What could he possibly say that would make this any better? But what he told me next shocked me to my core. "Sarah and I, it wasn't just a one-time thing. We've been seeing each other for months." I felt like the world had stopped. Months? She'd told me it was just one mistake, one moment of weakness. But according to Mark, it had been going on for much longer. He said they'd been meeting up regularly, texting constantly, even planning a future together. He said he was in love with her. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. How could she have lied to me like that? How could she have let me believe it was just a one-time thing? I felt like I didn't even know her anymore. When I got home, I confronted her. At first, she denied it. But when I told her I'd talked to Mark, she broke down. She admitted that it had been going on for longer than she'd said, but she swore it was over. She said she'd ended things with him, and that she wanted to focus on us. But I didn't know if I could believe her. How could I trust her after everything she'd done? I felt like my whole world had been turned upside down, and I didn't know how to put it back together. The next few weeks were a roller coaster. We tried to work through things, but it was hard. Every time I thought we were making progress, something would happen to set us back. Sometimes it was a text from Mark that she hadn't told me about. Other times, it was just the way she looked at me, like she was waiting for me to forgive her. I didn't know if I could. I wanted to, but every time I thought about what she'd done, I felt a wave of anger and betrayal. I started to question everything, our marriage, our future, even my own worth. Was I not enough for her? Was I ever? One night, after another argument, I decided I needed space. I told her I was going to stay with a friend for a few days. She begged me not to go, but I couldn't stay. I needed to clear my head. While I was away, I thought a lot about our relationship. I thought about the good times, the bad times, and everything in between. I realized that I still loved her, but I didn't know if that was enough. Love couldn't erase the pain she'd caused, and it couldn't rebuild the trust that had been broken. When I got back, we had another long talk. I told her how I felt, and she listened. She said she understood, and that she was willing to do whatever it took to make things right, but I didn't know if it was possible. In the end, I decided to give her one more chance. I didn't know if it was the right decision, but I knew I had to try. For better or worse, she was the woman I loved, and I wasn't ready to let go of. That part 5. It's been 6 months since that night, and things are better. Not perfect, but better. We've been going to counseling, and it's helped. We've learned to communicate better, to be more honest with each other. But there are still moments when the pain comes rushing back, and I wonder if we'll ever really move past this. Don't know what the future holds for us. Maybe we'll make it, maybe we won't. But I do know that I'm not ready to give up on us yet. I love her, and I believe she loves me. And for now, that's enough. To everyone who's been following this story, thank you for listening. I know it's been a lot, but it's been cathartic to share it. If you've been through something similar, I hope you know you're not alone. And if you haven't, I hope this story reminds you to cherish the people you love, because you never know what could happen. Thanks for watching until the end. If you want to hear more stories like this, make sure to check out my other videos. And remember, life is messy, but it's also beautiful. Don't give up on it.